Doesn't that look yummy? That's the picture I started with, and this is what I ended up making. Pretty cool. Spicy Italian crescent ring is what we're making today. It's got meat, cheese, and a little kick to it. So let's make it. So we're going to start with 2 cans of crescent rolls, and along with that we're using jalapeno rings. Unfortunately I didn't have the banana pepper ring, so we're using that. Some meat, prosciutto, ham, and salami. Provolone cheese, and at the end we're going to throw in some mozzarella. Now this also called for roasted red peppers. I made some and forgot to put them on. Okay, first step. Let's take our jalapenos. We need about a half a cup-ish, enough to cover the ring. So once I'm done making a mess, I think I've got close enough to what we need. Drain them, grab some paper towels. So you want them as drained as possible and kind of pat out the wet. You can see how the liquid's still in there, so we'll put them aside till we need them. Now we're using a pizza pan. If you don't have one, just use a big baking sheet. It'll still work. As long as it turns into a circle, you should be fine. So here's what we do. We crack open the cans of crescent roll. That's always fun, getting them out of the can and unrolling them. So sometimes it's a little difficult, but you know what? Watch what happens here, because they each tear a little different. And it's driving me up a wall doing it too. But once again, it all works out in the end. You just got to have a little bit of patience. So the other thing you want to make sure as you're doing the dough, once you peel it all apart, is you want to make sure that there's enough room on the bottom of the dough in the pan to put all your meat and cheese. So you can see I'm kind of laying it out now, and once I rip these apart I'm going to realize that, yeah, I kind of need a little more. Hey, we got to patch that one up. That's okay. So I need a little more room for the meat. So it's a little bit of guesswork. You got to kind of visualize it. So you want enough. It's okay to have spaces too between the crescents, but you want to go the same way. So if there's one thing I learned from doing these, whatever way you start, every other piece of dough should follow the same way. So if you can see, I've got the flat side on the right side. Now each successive piece I'm going to try and follow that all the way around, and hopefully I can make a circle when it's all said and done. So little by little, pull them apart, and I hope you can see that a little clearer here, where they're each going the same way. It's not perfect, but we get 2 cans of crescent rolls out, and it makes one big circle, just like that. And there's more than enough room to put the meat on, which we'll see. And you can see it's overlapped, and that's fine, because that's what you want on the bottom. So next up is our cheese provolone. It came in circles, so I had to rip them in half. Well, you would have had to do that anyway if it was a square. You want half pieces on the bottom. That's kind of your glue for the bottom. Next up is our deli ham. You want a thin slice. You don't need big massive pieces. So I folded them in half just to make sure they fit into our ring. Next up is our salami, and the same thing again. And lastly is our prosciutto. And there we go. There's all our meat. Now I had 2 slices of provolone left, so I ripped it up in little pieces so I got a little glue on top. Because next up is our jalapenos. And you can see I just had enough to ring it all the way around. If you like it really, really, really spicy, put a few more on, because that'll give it a really good kick. Now at this point, the roasted red pepper should have gone on, but like I said, I completely forgot till this was in the oven. A little bit of mozzarella on top just to glue all the veggies on and in place. And we're almost ready to roll. So now the trick here is you take each crescent roll and you fold it into the middle. And I'll show you in a second. Now, just like with putting the bottom down, you want to be consistent whichever way you fold it. So you can either tuck the little points under the roll, or what you do is, I just started kind of pushing it on the end there, and I took the point and kind of went to the left with it for each one. I think when we get to the end here, you can kind of see a little better. See how I kind of pushed it to the left? Yeah, just like that. And then I just made sure that that whole inside ring was nice and kind of pushed together so it didn't all fall apart. It worked out just fine. Well, it looks kind of like a ring to me. I think I did a pretty good job. Let's get this baby in the oven. Obviously preheated 375, 18 to 20-ish minutes. Keep an eye on it. That's all. I checked this at the 18-minute mark and it was ready to go. Smells fantastic. Let it sit for a minute so I can let it cool down enough to get my hands on it. But let's get a piece. Okay. The one thing the instruction said was grease your pan. I know I wasn't really thinking it would stick like it did, but it did. So let that be a lesson. If it says grease something, grease it. Doesn't matter whether it's non-stick or not, because you never know. But there's our two pieces. They look good. Look at that. Doesn't that look good? Look at how, and it's not super thick, but I guess you could make it if you wanted a bigger sandwich. But that looks good. And I hope you had fun watching. Hey, another great recipe. I hope you'll give it a try. Leave me a comment below, one way or the other. Listen, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell, because that'll tell you the next time I upload a video. Feel free to share this and any of my other videos. And thanks for stopping by and watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.